Yeah, we're waiting for a fairly significant thunderstorm. It was very nice 2 or 3 hours ago now. The sky is very dark. Don't know exactly what's coming, but they forewarned for significant storms this afternoon.
Yeah, we had our share yesterday.
Mm. And I'm having some work done around here. They're changing the air conditioning units, so there's a bunch of pipe banging and stuff going on here a little while ago, but I think they're just about done.
Well, that's the way it always is with a webinar or a meeting.
Yeah, yeah. Problems in the background, absolutely. My daughter, who teaches teachers down in North Carolina, she had one screenshot where the class started at 8 in the morning, and there's probably a first grade girl. She's then where the computer is set up is in the master bedroom. Well, the mother doesn't realize it's an 8 o'clock start, and she's in the background getting dressed.
Oh no.
What can you do? You know, the kid signed on at 8. They told her sign on at 8. The mother forgot about it, and so she was on camera. But those kinds of things happen.
We have about 20 people in so far. We'll give a few more minutes and then we'll get started.
Okay. Yeah, we're going whole hog at Niagara University to go back to regular teaching come September. And we've been online for a whole year now, and it's going okay, but it's not the same as the classroom. And school stands for small classrooms, personal attention, and so on. So the Zoom thing really doesn't cut it the way the students want, but better than nothing, I guess.
That's Niagara.
Yes. Yeah, small Catholic school.
Okay, it looks like the participants have started to slow down. So we'll go ahead and get started and they can enter as they get ready. I want to just get started with a quick overview of the MEP. So this webinar is for transportation costs. There's a significant opportunity out there for small and mid-sized companies to capture more of their profits through programs and negotiation. And you know that sometimes you're only as good as the leverage you have to negotiate. So we'll learn a little bit about that. But first, I want to get started with a quick intro into the Arizona MEP. This is our team, and we cover the entire state, and our job is to make every Arizona manufacturer the most successful business it can be. We do that under NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technologies, and in Arizona, we work under the Arizona Commerce Authority. So between those two, we work to serve small and mid-sized manufacturers in Arizona. While across the United States, there's actually a MEP center in all 50 states and in Puerto Rico. We all have the same mission. Some of the centers are under universities. Some of them are private, not-for-profits. And then like ours, we're under the Arizona Commerce Authority. So we work under the business development arm of the Arizona state government. When we do that, we're looking to make impacts in businesses and then rolled up for the economy as a whole. So the MEP as a whole last year helped to create 105,000 jobs, $2.7 billion in cost savings for our clients, 13 billion in new and retained sales, and almost 5 billion in new client investments. And then we also ask our clients, what are their top challenges? And cost reduction is by far the biggest challenge or the biggest request that our clients tell us. So this webinar today fits right in with that. And it's no surprise that we have such a good turnout. Employee recruitment is also, and again, this is a nationwide number. Here in Arizona, I would say employee recruitment is probably even higher. Most, if not all of our clients, the ones that I speak to on a daily basis, are looking to hire employees and look for our help to do so. Sales growth is always a challenge, and then product development. The Net Promoter Score is basically a question that's asked in our surveys that go out to our clients after we do a project with them, and asked if they would recommend us to other businesses or colleagues, as long as we're not direct competitors. In Arizona, we tend to get higher than 90 on that Net Promoter Score. So we're very proud of that. And we're very proud of the relationships that we have with our clients. So how do we help our clients? And some of you already know this. We work with you. I see some familiar names out there. Continuous improvement lean is a big offering that we do with our clients, helping them to reduce costs, reduce waste, create better flow in their shop floors. Staffing, again, very big offering for us. We help a lot of our clients there. You can see ISO certifications. I'm currently working with several of my clients to complete their ISO certifications, inventory optimization, and then here what we're talking about today, shipping services, cost savings, among other things. And then in business, kind of as a whole, R&D tax credits, if you didn't know, you probably qualify for some level of R&D tax credits. We can help with that. Utility tax exemptions. If you're a manufacturer in Arizona and you're paying taxes on your utilities, that's state or county taxes on your electricity or gas, you should not be. We can help you get that stopped and potentially get you a refund for up to 48 months going backwards. We also do offer HR support, financial help. We have an award-winning export tech program. So if you're looking to expand outside the country, we can help that. If you hadn't seen any of our press releases or our website or already working with us, we were granted additional funds from the CARES Act last year to help our clients who have been negatively impacted by COVID. So, you know, reductions in sales, nonprofit, or if you pivoted to help in the situation by making PPE, for example, face shields, gloves, gowns, hand sanitizer, those types of things. We're able to offer a subsidies for our services. So many of our clients have been taking advantage of that. There's still funds left. This program runs through June. So if you think this might apply to you, or it's about a 5-minute application, you can go onto our website, fill that out. You'll get a quick response. And if you are eligible, there'll be a short follow-up assessment, and then we can see how we can best help you with those subsidy funds. Some upcoming events that we have: QuickBooks for manufacturers, personal empowerment, and understanding basic accounting. Again, these are webinars, very informative, and we welcome you to join. There's more scheduled beyond this. Just go to our website and you can see what's coming up. So if you have any questions during the webinar, please put them in the Q&A section. We'll get to those at the end. Also, Sarah will be sending out a survey after the webinar to get your feedback on what you thought of it. If you have any questions, what you'd like to see in future webinars, those types of things. So if you could please fill that out for us, we really appreciate the feedback so that we can continue to help bring you services that can help you. So with that, I'd like to introduce Jack Ampuja. He's from Supply Chain Optimizers, and he's our partner with helping with basically saving costs on shipping services. So he'll go through all of that. And then if you have questions, you can ask him during the webinar via the Q&A, or get with your client advisor or me, and we can have further discussions if you think there's something here that might help. So with that, Jack, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jim, and welcome everybody. Now, is that screen up and running, Jim?
Do you want to share from your side?
Well, it's, and I just lost the ability to share here again. For some reason. No, you're going to have to do it because.
Okay, I'll pull it up. Here we go.
Okay. Okay. So I think I can just, okay, hold it.
You have to tell me what, okay, you got
Okay,
it. Looks like
okay,
you got
good.
it.
Yep, so just came back, so it's one of those deals. Okay. Let me just get the presentation mode going here. Okay, how's that, Jim?
Very good, thanks.
Okay. So my name is Jack Hampusia, and I lead a small consulting firm, Supply Chain Optimizers. We're based in Buffalo, but we work throughout the country and into Canada. I'm a Canadian. A number of my colleagues are Canadians. We do a number of things along the supply chain, but freight is the number one cost component for everyone in the logistics arena. It doesn't matter the company size. So a lot of our work revolves around transportation efficiency. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is consortium buying of transportation services. So the basic thought process being that if you have greater leverage, you're going to get a better price. Not a whole lot different than the individual hardware stores that belong to Ace Hardware, for example. So consortium buying will give better opportunity for leverage, and basically freight, like anything else, is really a leverage situation. So this is my company. I was not the founder of the company. It actually has roots going back to Toronto around 1985, but we adopted the Supply Chain Optimizers name in 2001. We had a small consulting business here in the US based in Los Angeles. Even though I've never lived in California, the business was based there. I joined the business at the request of a couple of other people. And there were two other guys up in Toronto operating as packaging consultants. And we all came together in 2001. So this is our 20th year of operating as Supply Chain Optimizers. What people know us for is packaging optimization. We help companies redesign their shipping cases to take out the air. Everybody has gotten products from Amazon, and where you'll get a cell phone showing up in a bread box. That's the kind of thing we tackle. And you can see the names of some of the companies we've worked with. We've worked with a lot of big companies because we have a lot of expertise in that arena. But even there, we redesign the boxes to drive freight costs down. That's the magic component. So as I mentioned, transportation is a big deal for us. It is the number one logistics cost for all companies. I teach transportation and logistics at a university when I don't consult. And a lot of my colleagues are in the same boat. Most of us have been directors or vice presidents. I was the chief operating officer for a nationwide trucking company for about 10 years. And in my last corporate slot, I was the senior vice president of operations for Fisher Scientific in Pittsburgh. In that role, I led a $300 million division with 800 people reporting to me, 25 distribution centers in the United States. One of my colleagues is Dr. Guy Gessner. Guy teaches at Canisius College, consults with our business. He was the general manager at Refrigerated International Cargo Haulers, another nationwide trucking company. And one of our other colleagues is Jim Stewart. Jim was formerly director of transportation at Ingram Micro. Most of you would not know the Ingram Micro name. It's a $50 billion enterprise. They service Lenovo, Apple, companies like that. If you order a bunch of Apple computers for your business, chances are they won't come from Apple. They'll come from Ingram. Ingram will load the software, add the peripherals, test the computers. I mention Ingram Micro because they are the number 2 buyer of Parcel Freight from FedEx in the world. So Jim has a lot of detailed background on Parcel. So really the point is we've all got years of experience doing this. So this is not a new game for us. We didn't just wake up yesterday and say, let's try to do something. Jim mentioned that the manufacturing extension program at Arizona does consulting. We also do some consulting, but I'm not here to talk about the consulting. I just wanted to give you a feel for our coverage. So we've done projects in Oakland, Portland, Chicago, St. Joe, Michigan, doesn't matter. I'm based in Buffalo, so a lot of the work has been around here. But where somebody is based really is immaterial to the programs. And the consulting, I'm not here to sell consulting to anyone. Some of these companies have had fairly significant problems or wanted to get benchmarking, things like that, wanted to get into private fleet, wanted to get out of private fleet. So we run the gamut of transportation, but I'm really here to talk to you about the consortium buying and the opportunity that presents to smaller companies. So this is one of the slides that we use in my MBA program on a regular basis, and there are companies from many different verticals in the program today. So you can see the way to read this slide is if you start on the left-hand side, the automotive industry, basically what it begins to say is that the median company, so the middle of the pack, is spending 9.2% of their revenues on logistics. So 9.2% of company revenues goes to logistics. The national number is about 8%, and you can see it's sort of higher in some industries, a little lower, but 8% is the national number. But if you look at automotive, for example, the best in class, so these would be the top 20%, they're spending 5.4% on logistics when the industry average in their industry is 9.2%. So you can see the gap between the best in class, and this is the middle of the pack. So if this is the middle of the pack, 9.2% on automotive, there are companies in that industry that'll be 12, 14, and so on. So 9.2 is not the average, it's the middle of the pack, meaning there are a lot of companies worse than that. But the point is, there's a lot of opportunity. If companies can get down to 3, 4, 5%, obviously there's an opportunity to significantly improve the profit margin. So the freight program that I'm going to talk to you about is supported by a nonprofit group based in Ohio called the United Shippers Alliance. And the United Shippers Alliance has been in existence for 25 years. It was set up at the specific request of a bunch of retail clothiers, retail merchants of typically high-end textiles. So companies like The Limited, The Gap, Victoria's Secret, Levi Strauss, they're all based in Ohio. That might not be headquarters, but they've got big operations there. That most of you on the program today may not be familiar with Ohio. I'm not that far from Ohio. I'm in there regularly. But all the way from Cleveland down through Akron, Youngstown, Columbus, and all the way to Cincinnati, it's based, there's a lot of clothing companies in there. So these clothing companies 25 years ago were sitting around chatting saying, gee, if we could combine all of our buying power, imagine the leverage we'd have and the pricing we could get. Well, nobody knew how to set up that kind of a shippers association. So the Chamber of Commerce went to the Columbus airport. There was a company running the Columbus airport, a logistics company, and the chamber said, you guys are logistics people, you know how to run this kind of thing. We would like you to set up a shippers association. And by law, shippers associations are nonprofit. So it has to be a nonprofit situation. But we would like you to set that up for us. And there was a company retained to run it. But that shippers association has still been in existence for 25 years. The story that I like about the shippers association is that when it was first started, one of the biggest carriers in the country was Roadway Express, based in Akron, Ohio, not far from where the association was started. And because the companies that started the association were all Ohio-based, all of them did business with Roadway Express at that time. The Roadway name is gone at this point, so some of you may not know it. But the Shippers Association contacted Roadway, brought them in for a meeting and said, we're starting this Shippers Association where we're going to be leveraging the buy of all of the member firms. They all do business with you, but we would like to bring more business to the table. And in exchange for that, we would like a nice price reduction for all of our member firms. The Roadway thought about it for a few days and then came back and said, we've heard of these schemes before, but none of them has ever amounted to anything. So we're not going to do anything to respond. It doesn't seem like it's worth our while. Well, all the firms in the Shippers Association agreed to stop supporting Roadway on an individual basis. The first month, Roadway lost the annual equivalent of $7 million in freight and came back very quickly and said, we would like to, in fact, engage the association. So there used to be a lot of these shippers associations at one time when freight was regulated in the United States, which was pre-1980. So you can do the math how long ago that was.
I'm on the webinar right now.
But
I'm just trying to listen to you.
There are less than 15 of the shippers associations left.
There's the title of the actual file.
Jim, I can hear you on the on the background here, so maybe you can mute yourself. So anyway, these shippers associations, they've gone the way of the dodo bird for the most part. So there are roughly 15 of them left in the United States. We work with one of them. Many of them are verticals based on the business type. So there's a footwear shippers association, there's a chemical shippers association, and some of them are geographical in nature. We have an Empire State Shippers Association here in Buffalo, where I live. We have a Lone Star Association in Texas. So you either have to be in the business that they represent, or you've got to be in the geography they represent. The association we work with, United Shippers, is neither product-oriented nor geographically constrained. We can bring in customers from anywhere. We have customers in California, we have customers in Florida, customers in Texas, New England. It really doesn't matter, Chicago. We focus on 3 channels in transportation in the United States, Canada also. We do ocean, we do less than truckload, and we do parcel. And the reason we focus on those 3 channels only is that all of them work under price contracts. With that, we have pricing stability. I stay away from truckload because truckload is very volatile, changes almost by the day. I can give somebody a good price today. Monday, you're liable to call me to tell me, Jack, we're going to drop you. Somebody dropped the price by 2 cents a mile. Most of our pricing is fixed for 12 months at a time. The ocean contracts for this year just went into effect for March the 1st, and our pricing is locked from March 1 of 2020 to April 30th of 2022. So that's very typical of what we can bring to the table, is the fixed pricing. As I mentioned, shippers associations are nonprofit. They're antitrust protected. People have told me what you're doing is illegal. You can't roll up buying associations like this. The whole idea about buying consortiums has been vetted all the way to the US Supreme Court. By law, the shippers associations have to be nonprofit. Basically, they are shipping cooperatives that negotiate and manage freight on behalf of all the member firms. So they deal with truckers, with railroads, ocean carriers, air, whatever they'd like to do. And it's really designed to benefit small and medium-sized companies by aggregating volume of all the member firms to negotiate better rates. There's nothing that says we can't deal with big companies, and we have some very large companies. We have several billion-dollar enterprises in the association, but it's primarily designed for medium and smaller companies because they do not have the buying leverage that someone like General Motors or Exxon would have. But essentially, it's designed to roll up this buying power and to deliver results to all the member firms. So the alliance we work with is a very small staff. This is why it's nonprofit. There are 4 people based in Ohio, 1 accountant, 1 executive director, and then 2 women that deal with the ocean. 1 deals with inbound, 1 deals with outbound. And I'm going to mention Gene Graves on the next slide. Gene is the executive director of the association, 50 years of transportation experience in the United States. And people, when they meet Gene or hear about his background, say to me, well, what happens to this thing when Gene retires or leaves this earth? And the point is, none of those people who work for the alliance are owners. They're all employees. The shippers actually own the association. So if you become a member firm, you become an owner of the association. So they have no ownership. Gene was recruited to run the association. Someday the board of directors will recruit somebody else to run it. And what Gene works with, he's got an annual buy on less than truckload of over 50 million. He's got an annual ocean buy of 100 million, maybe 125 million now, the way ocean pricing is going. And then we also have a parcel buy, and I've neglected to put that on the slide, but we have a parcel buy of $400 million a year. The parcel buy has been the fastest growth vehicle. When we started dealing with parcel through the association 5 years ago, it was 65 million buy. It's now 400 million. And we've got over 200 companies that belong. And the only reason they belong is they get better pricing through the association. There's no other reason to be a member. So I mentioned Gene Graves, the executive director based in Columbus. Gene, 50 plus years, recruited by the board to run it. He negotiates directly with 8 major ocean carriers, some big names. HMM, ONE out of Japan, Evergreen, Zim out of Israel. So there are 8 major carriers, the biggest in the world, and those are the ones that Gene negotiates with to get pricing for our member firms. He typically deals with the inbound. This time of the year just finished, and usually it's May, but this year we put the pricing into effect in March because of the volatility. Then in the fall, Gene will sit with those same carriers and he'll negotiate the outbound rates from North America to wherever, to Vietnam, to India, to Pakistan. It doesn't matter where the freight goes to. But once we set that pricing in May or October, that pricing is locked with no changes. Fuel can adjust quarterly, but nothing else changes for the year. The big feature of our program is that no member will wake up on Monday to find out rates changed over the weekend. You're not going to get a call on Friday to say your rates are going up without any notice. That cannot happen because of the agreements we have in place. And virtually all of our contracts are for at least 1 year, sometimes longer, depending on circumstances. But our target is to get at least 1 year of pricing stability for everything we deal with. So the less than truckload portion of the program, we're supported by 3 national carriers. UPS Freight, that has been purchased by TFI out of Canada and is changing the name to T-Force Freight. So the UPS name at some point will disappear from less than truckload. I don't know what the agreement is between the 2 companies, but the trucks still say UPS and there's still a UPS website, but I don't know if it's a year or 6 months or whatever, but at some point it'll say TFI instead of UPS. XPO and then YRC. If you don't recognize those names, those are 3 of the 5 largest less than truckload carriers in North America. So all 3 of them support us. We also have regional carriers who run a couple of different states. We deal with Holland Motor Express out of Michigan. We deal with Pitt, Ohio out of Pittsburgh. We deal with Dewey Pile out of Philadelphia. Dewey Pile, for example, runs everything from Maine on out to Ohio and then maybe south to Virginia, regional player. And typically we work with both regional players and with national carriers because where I live in Buffalo, none of the big 3 carriers would want the freight from Buffalo to Rochester, which is 60 miles away. UPS, XPO, YRC want the freight from Buffalo to Chicago, to Albuquerque, to Cheyenne, Wyoming, long haul. That's what they specialize in. That's how they make their money. The regional carriers want that short haul freight, Buffalo to Philadelphia, Buffalo to Syracuse, New York City to Boston, things like that. So we have both regional and national carriers in the program as a result. But all of our clients, all of our member firms enjoy national account status. There's a national account rep working for UPS who deals with Gene Graves almost daily. Probably they have lunch every week to talk about the programs. So we're able to get very, very good leverage from all those carriers because of the buying power. So what do we get in exchange for dealing with those carriers? We get very aggressive rates based on 4 key strategies. We get bigger discounts. We have much bigger discounts than most smaller firms can get on their own. We have very strong FAK, freight all kinds, that instead of trying to figure out what does a headset have to be classified as, what about a drinking glass, what about a pen, we will put one classification into place and all the freight coming out of that company. It's a much easier system to deal with for pricing and for analysis. We have very low fuel surcharges, about half of the national rate. And I'll show you a little more detail on that in a second. And then there are various additional charges: weekend delivery, inside delivery, residential delivery, telephone call, tailgate. We have discounts on every one of those. Some of them are waived entirely. Tailgate delivery, for example, I believe the standard price for tailgate, it'll vary by carrier, but tailgate delivery is about $150 if you need a tailgate. Our price is $75, so we're half the national number. So these are examples of the benefits. I just looked up earlier today, the national fuel surcharge. If you make a shipment today with UPS, XPO, YRC, Old Dominion, any of the big carriers, you're going to get an additional fee of 25% added to that freight bill for fuel. Our members are paying 12% today when the national number is 25. So even if our rates were identical to what other people offer, we've already got a 13% lower cost because of the fuel. And it's like that. The higher the national fuel goes, the bigger the savings through the association. That's all been negotiated, and that's what our members are paying. We get reductions on freight classes, and I won't make this an MBA class on freight classes, but essentially the denser the product, like steel ingots, the lower the number. So steel ingots would be a class 50 or a 55, and then ping pong balls would be a class 250. So it's anywhere from 50 up to 500. So one of the things that we offer through the program, and it's not for one company and not for someone else, everyone gets the same deal. If you have a class 175, so that's a very light density product, it would be lighter than disposable diapers, for example. Disposable diapers, I know, are a class 125. So a class 175, basically thought of as balloon freight, very light density products. If you have a class 175 product, you're actually going to get billed as a class 100, which is about a 1/3 reduction in cost. Again, negotiated by the Shippers Association. And I'm going to give you one example of a client that we deal with here in Buffalo, actually based in the same town where my office is. There's a plumbing distributor here that I think ships pretty much nationwide, a lot to New England, a lot to Ohio, Illinois, places like that. But they had their last less than truckload price increase from UPS in September of 2020. We recently were able to extend that pricing until March of 2022. So their cost to ship is going to be flat for 18 months. And you can think about your own company's situation. When was the last time you were able to count on your pricing being flat for 18 months? We can't get that for everybody, but we were able to secure that kind of a pricing arrangement for that particular company. We also offer the use of a transportation management system for no cost to member firms. And the TMS basically has all kinds of pricing and all kinds of carriers loaded into the computer table. So instead of having to call a whole bunch of different trucking companies to get prices, you can get that right on the computer system. You go onto the computer system and you want to make a shipment of something from Phoenix to let's say Vernon, California. You'll see every carrier that will handle that, and you'll see what their pricing is going to be. And you can select which one you want. There's no cost to use that system if you're a member firm. You're not forced to use the system if you want to sit down and call a whole bunch of trucking companies and would rather do that. You're welcome to do that. But the TMS, in round numbers, if you went out to lease a low-cost TMS, it's about $10,000 a month is what it would cost you to use a TMS. Because of the buying power, we're able to offer the use of a TMS for no charge to our member firms. So this is really what we offer. We leverage existing relationships with the carriers, and with our supply chain experience, we're able to offer our clients significant savings. How we work is we take your existing freight bills and we compare them against our rates and accessorial charges. If you give us freight bills, we'll price them out with our costs and show you, here's what you paid, here's what you could have paid. We're not lower in every situation. We'll show you the ones where we're higher on also. Clients typically get between 15 to 25% cost reduction in their freight programs. I'll show you some live numbers here in a little bit, and you're going to see some companies that have done a whole lot better than that. It really depends on the particular lane, the product that you're moving, how aggressive carriers are, but usually we're going to be lower. We may not be lower on every single shipment, and our whole philosophy is use us only when it saves you money. If you've got a better deal from another carrier, you're under no obligation to use our program. Use the cheapest service that you can find. We have alliances in place with a lot of innovative service providers. We can provide freight audit, for example. These are separate fee-based things that if you're interested, we can help you on that. If you need help on customs, for example, we have some very good customs agents here in the United States and Canada we've been able to link our customers to. We can give you some dashboard reporting if you're using that TMS. You can get some very good reports on where your freight is moving, what your cost per pound is, cost per delivery, cost by state, all kinds of reporting available if that's of value to you. You're not under any obligation to take that. In fact, the dashboard reporting, there's no cost for that either. So what do you need to do? Number one, you have to join the Shippers Alliance, United Shippers Alliance. You have to become a member because only the members get access to that pricing. There is no cost or obligation to join. There is typically a minimum fee, I don't know, $100, $120 to join the association. That's been waived because of all the work that my firm has done with the association. I don't know exactly, but I'm thinking that in the last 5 years, maybe 90% of the new business into the United Shippers Alliance has come through my company. We put the program together and we represent them nationwide. If you think back to the slide I showed you about the organization structure for the Shippers Alliance, you did not see any salespeople there. There has been nobody ever selling this program. It's been word of mouth. Somebody likes what it does. They refer somebody else. That's how they built their business. When we found out about the association 10 years ago, we got the okay to represent them. And we're the only company that actually sells the program. We're not nonprofit, the association is, so we get paid to bring you in and to manage the process. But the main deal is that there's no cost or obligation. You're under no commitment on dollars, on pounds, on shipments. The whole program is based on the fact it's free to join with no commitments. Join the program. If it works for you, use it. If it doesn't work for you, don't use it. It doesn't cost you anything to be a member. You don't contact me. You don't contact Jim Harrison to make any scheduled shipments. You contact the carrier directly the way you do every single day. The carrier bills you directly. You pay him. You file freight claims. There's nothing different. What happens behind the scenes is that we bring the pricing power to the negotiation. That's the only thing that's different. We want you to see the freight bill. In fact, it's against the Shippers Alliance regulations for anyone to get these rates and to mark them up and to give you another freight bill. I might, for example, get a $500 bill from the association. I cannot take that bill and tear it up and then bill you $600 where I make a profit. I periodically cross paths with logistics firms that see the rates that we get and they say, man, I'd love to get a hold of those rates. I can mark them up and still provide a nice savings to the shipper and make a nice profit. No one is allowed to do that. It's only the beneficial owner of the freight, the company whose name is on the freight bill, on the bill of lading. They're the ones that can belong. No logistics companies can belong to the association. We also have Parcel Freight, and there's one interesting codicil with the Parcel Freight. We go through UPS and FedEx. We have contracts in place with UPS, FedEx, and DHL. We're neutral. We don't care who gets the freight. We make money only when customers save money. So what happens is if you're a significant shipper, both UPS and FedEx want to deal with large shippers directly. If we bring a large shipper to the table, UPS or FedEx will tell us, well, that's going to be a FedEx account. That's going to be a UPS account. They will tell us that they want to deal with you directly. If you're not a big shipper, then we can run you through a partner company where you'll actually go onto the partner company's computer system, schedule the shipment from there, and then the computer will send it to FedEx or to UPS. And there's no fee for that. But basically, again, it's buying power. So what do you get in benefit for joining the association? You get aggressive pricing. You enjoy the benefits of a much larger organization. Many of you would not have annual revenues as big as the freight buy that we have. If you're buying $1 million of freight a year and I'm buying 400 million through the parcel program, by all other things being equal, we're going to have a lower price than you will. That's basically the message. We leverage our freight volume to get better pricing from the carriers. We're fully aware of current market conditions. So if pricing goes up, we try to respond to that. If pricing goes down, if there are changes, if there are shortages, it's a major shortage on capacity for ocean right now. And if you want to get into the ocean program, that one's going to be a little bit squirrely because there is such high demand for ocean and pricing is sky high right now, and we're not immune from that. But we also bring long-term transportation expertise to the table and can help you work through problems that you might not have seen before. And why do these carriers want to work with us? We increase their market share. We bring customers to the table they would never find. They pay the Shippers Association, the carriers pay the Shippers Association a small fee to be able to represent the association, but it's much less money than what UPS or YRC or anyone would pay for a sales rep. So for them, it's found money. They can pay the Shippers Association a very small fee to be a member carrier, and we bring customers to the table that they'd never find. So they enjoy that situation because it's very cost effective for them. So I've mentioned ocean. We also do less than container load. We're even stronger pricing on less than container load. If you're bringing a couple of pallets from India to Arizona, we probably can help you. We do worldwide service on ocean. The Parcel Freight I've mentioned, we have great discounts with UPS and FedEx, US and in Canada. We typically go through CanPar, Canada Parcel in Canada, good rates with them, but both UPS and FedEx are active in Canada. And then we use DHL for international parcel because DHL is very limited service inside the United States. They'll take shipments from Phoenix to Rotterdam or from Tucson to London, but they won't take shipments from Tucson to Phoenix, for example. And then we can provide intra-Canada, less than truckload, and we can also help you on cross-border if you have need to move freight. We've done some work with Jim Harrison on one company that has a facility in Edmonton, Alberta, and another one in Phoenix. And obviously, they have to have cross-border. They have to find carriers who can run both countries and so on. So we've got that kind of ability that is available if you need it. So people always ask me, what's the catch? As far as I can tell, there is no catch. It's a member-owned, nonprofit organization with very little overhead. That's why the pricing is where it is. Most of the carriers work with us because of the buying volume. So your requirement, it's no cost to join. There's no commitment on dollars, pounds, volume, nothing. And we don't even charge for the analysis. If you give us freight bills, we show you what you can save. There's no fee for that either. So these are the benefits. You can cherry pick loads. So use us only where we're cheaper. You're not committing to us that you have to give us every load coming out of your facility, every load on a lane. Give us the loads. All we ask is that we would like you to give us the loads where we're cheaper. And I get customers that say, can I use whoever I want? And the answer is sure. It's your money. If you want to spend $600 on something that we can move for 400, there's no reason for us to tell you how to spend your money. If you'd rather spend 600 and give the 200 to the carrier than put it in your own pocket, I can't stop you from doing that and don't want to. That's your money. You're cash flow positive from day one because you don't get billed for the freight for a number of weeks by the carriers, and we don't bill you for even longer than after that. The gain share investment is paid from your savings. You don't pay us unless your freight bill goes down. People always ask me, what do you have to do on your end? Does it add more people? Well, no, because you're going to either schedule shipments with a phone call the way you do today, or you go online with one or two carriers, or you use the TMS, and the TMS will do all that for you. So as far as I can tell, we're not changing anything in workload or work requirement for any shipper. So how do we get paid? My firm, we typically split the savings where 2/3 of the savings goes to the client. We take 1/3. So if you do the math, your return on investment, and I think as business owners, as executives, most of you deal with return on investment. My math says that the return on investment on this program is 180%. You're probably not going to find many programs that are coming down the pipeline that'll give you 180% ROI. How much your savings is, I can't tell you in advance until we actually look at your spend, but bear in mind that the membership is no cost. There's no cost, no commitment. It's pretty hard to lose in a deal like this. So these are actual things from our files. So we have at least one automotive company, their freight savings on less than truckload, 37% savings. There's a health and beauty aids company, 21%. I mentioned hats. It's about the fourth item down. There's a company that sells hats made out of beer cases, of all things. We've actually got a quote from Cindy Montana, who's the owner of that company, 51% cost reduction for that company. And the medical devices company, and if you want to talk to the woman who owns the hat company or the guy who owns the medical device company, we can put you in touch with them. Frank Cadella, the founder of the medical device company, will testify to anyone that his freight bill went down over 70% when he came into the program. He's a small company. He was basically getting hosed by the carriers. It's not that we're such geniuses, but he had such a bad deal. So you can see that I've mentioned earlier on that 15 to 25%, well, there are a whole bunch of companies here much higher than 25% cost reduction. So these are some actual testimonials. One company said, where were you 5 years ago? Why weren't you available? I hate it when that happens, but I can't find everybody. So Scott Zagota, this is the first company we actually sold into the LTL program, and they're still a customer. So this is his comment. This sounds too good to be true. If I didn't trust you, I wouldn't do this. Well, Scott Zagota knew me and one of my colleagues and jumped in, and And he said, gee, I'd love to get into the program. What can you do? Well, you can see his savings, his freight bill was $375,000 a year. We cut that by 27%. So you can all do math very quickly. So 1/4 of 375,000 wasn't quite 100 grand, but close to it. And that he used that to fund some additional marketing for his program and to build his business to a bigger status. And then here's Cindy Montana. Montana International is the company that makes the hats. A few years ago, Supply Chain Optimizer showed me how I could save money on LTL. Sounded too good to be true, but I trusted them. We were able to save 51% on our annual LTL spend, and we can have you speak to Scott Zagoda and to Cindy Montana and Frank Cadella of Medical Acoustics down at the bottom, Buffalo-based company that developed a little instrument for developing harmonic resonance inside your lungs so it frees up congestion. And because we get 1/3 of the savings, I would chuckle every month when I created the invoice for Frank Cadella, because the bill that I gave him from our share of the savings was bigger than his new freight bill. The savings that he was enjoying were so big that what he paid me for gain share was bigger than his new freight bill. That's how much we were able to reduce his price. We'll probably never have that happen with anyone again, but this is a documented case that Frank will talk to you about if we can connect you to him. So that's the basic outline. This is my contact information, my name, my direct line. And we run two companies, Supply Chain Optimizers, E-commerce Optimizers, because there's so much e-commerce. We have a separate website devoted to the e-commerce business. And even though we're a small firm, there are basically a half dozen of us on this full time. We have another half dozen who are part-timers with us. But even though we're a relatively small firm, we're pretty well recognized. We've been a Green Award winner through Supply Chain and Supply and Demand Chain magazine. 5 years, I guess, actually, we were a Green Award winner, and we don't have any new awards because we haven't applied. That's the basic reason. It takes quite a lot of time to apply for these awards. And then Food Logistics magazine has recognized us as a green provider and as a top 100 technology and solutions provider. I don't remember exactly, but I think there are less than 10 companies that won both awards from Food Logistics in that time frame, and we are one of them because we do a lot of work around the food industry, relatively low margin. So that's the end of the formal presentation, and we'll open this up then for some questions and anything I can do to clarify what's been said up to this point.
Thanks, Jack. See if we get some questions here. There's a lot of information there packed into 45 minutes. I appreciate it.
Jim, maybe you'd like to add a couple of comments because you've dealt with us. It's over a year already. I forget how long we've been introduced. I'm on the phone with Jim, actually more emails than telephone, but we're on the phone pretty regularly. And Jim has directed a number of firms that he's familiar with to us. And so he's dealt hands-on directly with the program, has met Gene Graves and knows a lot of the other players I'm involved with. So Jim, maybe you've got some observations you'd like to pass on to people who are listening today.
Yeah, so Jack's right. We've discussed a couple of clients' situations. We did a few test cases where we compared his LTL rates. We looked at ocean shipping, and I think maybe even a parcel case where we looked at their current, and he basically gave a quote through the Shippers Association to see what the comparison was. And I think in all cases, it was a cost reduction and different levels. I think one case I remember was just a couple of pallets. It was a savings of a couple of $100 on one shipment. So depending on the scale of your business, you have to decide whether it's worth it or not. I think from my perspective, just the ability to access the TMS, the online web-based TMS, and have visibility into what rates are out there, even if you don't use it. It's a good opportunity to have that visibility to see where you are and even just benchmark. And then if you choose to use it, it's available. Jack actually did a demo for us. It's been a while now, so hopefully maybe we'll get to do another one if we have more people sign on to the program. a demo of that TMS and how it works. Here's a question from Neil. Was this presentation recorded for future download? I missed the first half of the presentation and would like to watch it. Yes, we did record it. So Sarah will be sending that out to everybody.
Yeah. And for Neil and everyone else, my contact information is on the last slide. So if there's anything that you need clarification on or doesn't make sense, send me an email, give me a call. That's my direct line. My phone is on. In fact, some of you may have heard it ringing here at one point during the presentation, which I apologize for, but I'm pretty easy to track down. And this is a very easy thing for me to explain. This is not a hard sell in any way, shape, or form. If the program works for you, great. If it doesn't, we don't have one price for Jim Harrison and his group and another price for somebody in Portland, Oregon. We have one price across the board based on the Shippers Association. And if the price works for you, great. If it doesn't, we have no fallback position. There's no bait and switch. There's nothing else involved. It's very, very straightforward. We like the program. We like representing it because it's so crystal clear and easy to explain.
We have another question from Jim down in Tucson. Most of our shipping is in the state, Arizona. Can this program help?
We would have to take a look at that, Jim, but ostensibly there are very few people we found where we can't help you. That I didn't show you the list of all the carriers, but we've got hundreds of carriers in that TMS. So we probably will be able to find a carrier that will do intrastate Arizona. So it's worth looking at that. If you give us some freight bills or give us some shipping points, here's my origin, here's my destination, we'll come back to you and tell you, yes, we can, and we'll show you the pricing. It's very transparent. There's no secrets with it. And if we can't help you, we'll tell you that too. But there are very few people where we've walked away from and said, we can't do anything for you.
That's a good point. I think if anybody has any question or any doubts or just want to see, just either speak with your client advisor or Jack, and we can put you in touch and just do a few test cases. Give, like you said, the origin, the destination, what the class freight it is, and then we can get some quotes from the Shippers Association and see if it works. If it doesn't, then at least you're doing well.
What Jim just said is something we emphasize to all potential clients: is you don't have to marry us or make any wholesale commitment. We advise exactly what Jim just said. Sign up for the program. There's no commitment. There's no cost. Give it a test. Try 1 or 2 shipments. If you like the service, like the cost, it'll sell itself. I don't have to be there to tell you what to do. You'll figure it out if there's a problem or whatever. And we usually say, give us a couple, because what if the first one goes wrong? And we've had some very good business owners who said, I know that there may be some rockiness because it changes, but I'm in it for the long haul. We're in it for the long haul too. But the program should be able to prove itself. And the fact that we've been in existence, the Shippers Association has been in existence for 25 years doing this, and we've got several hundred companies in there. And particularly when I see the Parcel Freight grow from 65 million a year to 400 million, somebody is benefiting from all these services.
I have another question from William. For ocean shipping, do you handle shipments from Asia to the EU and US? International shipping rates are as crazy as the stock market right now and eroding our margins.
Yeah. This one's a tough issue, because for those of you who aren't doing ocean, you ought to thank your lucky stars that I mentioned the name Gene Graves, who is the executive director of the association. I'm on the phone with Gene almost every day, and almost every day I'm on the phone with somebody for ocean freight. Gene has done this for 50 years. He has never seen a year like we're in the middle of right now, that pricing is sky high. It's very difficult to get shipping capacity. We do have, particularly if you're bringing stuff into the West Coast and from there to Arizona, we can help you. We do have capacity from the major Asian ports coming into Los Angeles, Long Beach, Oakland, and Seattle. We're cooked on stuff into Canada. I've already been told, don't sign up anyone else for Canada. All the capacity is gone. There's a waiting list. And the same with the European Union. These carriers we deal with, these are worldwide carriers. So most of our volume is Asia to US. There's some US and Canada. There's some North America going back to Asia, and it could be India, it could be Vietnam, Pakistan. But we do have accounts that bring stuff in from in from Europe, and we have customers that ship to Europe. So we would love to look at what you've got, and we'll go to our carriers and see what they can do. We've just were able to help out a large furniture company in California. This guy was bringing in 18,000 containers a year. His carriers left him 6,000 containers a year short. And we had one meeting on the Zoom with the owner a couple of weeks ago. The next day he signed up for the association. We were able to get him the association pricing with no upcharge. And he's going to have a little bit of a delay, but we're going to be able to cover 6,000 containers for him. But that basically chewed up the rest of the capacity that was available. So I can't promise. Under normal years, I could say, yes, we have very good pricing. We will get you capacity. I'll have to tell you right now, it depends. Let us look at it. And if we can cover you, we will. If we can't, we'll tell you that too. But again, you've got nothing to lose to let us take a crack at it.
Thanks, Jack. I don't see any new questions here. So you mentioned that there's no charge to join the association. And from what I remember from another client of mine who did join, I think it's just a one-page form or.
Yep. In fact, I can provide that form to you, Jim, and you can post it for all of the people who are on the webinar today. It's basically a one-page form that says you'd like to become a member of the association. You basically pledge to be a good member, to try to use the association services when it benefits your business. There's no other commitment. You're not committing to anything on time, dollars, or anything else. It just says you would like to be in the association, and you cannot get the pricing unless you're an association member, because the association name is on the contract. So there's a master contract with the carriers, LTL, Parcel, Ocean, and then under those master contracts, we will add names that it'll be Jim Harrison Limited or whatever company, or XYZ. So we add your company name to the contract, but you can't get onto the contract unless you're an association member. But it's very non-threatening. If you don't use the association, you don't use it, because our whole mantra is use us only when it makes sense for your business. If we're not cheaper or you don't like the service, you're under zero obligation to us. I'll just continue to do what you do. If it fits your business and can help, then by all means, we'd love to work with you. If you've got a better deal, our whole advocacy is use the best deal that's available to your program and to your company. If it's not us, God bless you, take whatever path you want, but we're built on the whole premise that a very low cost, low margin, low overhead, and that's why we're able to bring the pricing to the table. It's not that we're geniuses, but there is no middleman marking up the freight. That's the difference.
Okay, and then with that, I think it's important to stress, I think you touched on it, the way you take your share or your portion of the savings, that it's cash flow positive. So if you could just explain how that works.
Yeah, so basically my firm, we get a portion of the savings. So we'll document the savings for you, that if you give us 10 bills, 20 bills, 100 freight bills, and occasionally we've had people that have given us 25 freight bills, and we'll plow through them and show you what the savings is. And they'll say, well, gee, is that really enough? Let me look at 100. Well, I've done this enough times to tell you that whatever the number comes out at 25, it probably won't change if I do 100 bills or 200, but basically we'll agree with you on what the portion, what the savings is, and then we will send you a bill after the fact. It's usually weeks after the fact. The system moves slowly. I have to wait until the carriers send their reports into the Shippers Association, and from those reports, then I figure out which customers have used the association program, and then I'll send you a bill for our portion of the savings. But you won't see our bill for weeks after the shipment. The carrier will bill you in his normal time frame, and our bill follows through, but we take 1/3 of the savings, you keep 2/3 of it, and that's how we march forward. So we immediately peg you at a lower price, and you've always got the ability that if somebody else comes in with a better price, to come back and talk to us, we'll try to match it or beat it. If we can't, then use the lower cost alternative. And we're happy to serve as a backup or get part of their freight. If you want to give us the freight that goes from Phoenix to Southern California, give us that. If someone else is cheaper in Northern California, use them. But bear in mind that it's a gain share that you pay us only if your freight bill goes down. If we can't save you money, you pay us zero.
Okay, and we have time for one more question. and here it is. And I want to add to that before everybody gets away is, our mission as an MEP is to help our clients save costs, increase revenues, grow their business, be better. So this fits right in line with our mission. And if we engage in projects, you'll see the surveys come out from NIST where, what was our impact and what types of programs did we bring to you? So here's the last question from Chandra. Does this apply for incoming freight also?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a very good question, Chandra, that in fact, one of the things you haven't seen yet, Jim, I will make available to you an article on managing inbound freight that I co-wrote about 20 years ago. That thing is still being featured on the internet. I found the other day that it's been published by Northwestern University that kind of took on a life of its own, that I've had calls and emails over a 20-year period for that article on how to manage inbound. So absolutely, inbound, many companies forget inbound and pay higher prices. Inbound will apply to exactly the same process that the outbound is. So thank you for that good question.
Perfect. Thanks, Jack. And thanks everybody for joining us today. If you have questions after, I'm sure you'll think of some things later. Don't hesitate to reach out to me or your client advisor. If you're not sure who your client advisor is, you have our web address and our email from the opening slides. Just reach out to us, azmep.com, and we can help connect you, answer the questions, and see if this is a good fit for you. Thanks again, Jack. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Jim. Always a blast working with you.
Everybody, have a great rest of your week. Thank you.
Thank you all.